Hey folks, welcome to Sunday Night Fights, our favorite
Yeah,
show of the week. I feel like it's become such a tradition now, and
that's right.
actually, only today did I realize that there should be a hashtag. So hashtag Sunday Night Fights. That's gonna be the so maybe when people, if they play on Sunday, they can hashtag it next time. Let everyone know. Like people always do with the Twitter chess tournament. It's always hashtag Twitter chess, and then everyone knows what that's about.
Right.
Hey, Vintage Watchpoint. Good to see you. We're just getting started. We got a couple of games going on. They are just beginning. Actually, one game from these round robins started like 2 hours ago, and that one is played on Lichess. So we won't be able to show like the live position, but we can copy the game over to the analysis board and take a look at it. But for our current games going on, we have Vishnu versus Quirked. That's up on the live side right now. And we also have a game between Mitch and Counter Sparks, which seems to have started with Perk Defense.
Hi, Vintage. All right. Yeah. Vintage watch point. Vintage is from Turkey. He's watching from Turkey.
True, I knew that. Let's see, I
Yeah.
just got pinged. Oh, we got one more game. We got Strong Chess versus Junior. Awesome.
Oh, all right. Let's see if I can find that
Yeah, let me follow that game as well. That's Todd Bryant, I think, is his username.
one. That's right. Against Chess Juice 150.
Sweet.
Okay.
Well, so yeah, we got a bunch of stuff to talk about. Also, a lot of stuff happening this week, a lot of stuff happening next week. I'm sure we'll get to all of it on the show. This show is also like our weekly like podcast where we review what's happening at the
That's
dojo.
right.
So, well, where to begin? You have a couple new videos out that we can plug. First, the review on the Korchnoi Rook Endgames book.
Yeah.
That was cool. Actually, overall, I didn't get if you like the book or not.
Oh, I think it's a great book, but where the reservation comes in is I don't think it's for everybody. You know, I think it's
Gotcha.
a very difficult book, and like I said in the review, when I read it, roughly a little bit after it came out about 20 years ago, it was too hard for me, and only now am I understanding because of that, like because I've spent a lot of time with Rook Endgames in between years, that it's a different kind of animal. You know, it's a different kind of beast with the Rook endings. So yeah, doing a lot of times when I do these videos, I like it helps me understand what's my own thought process with stuff like Rook ending. And that
Right.
was this time around. I mean, it's only 100 pages. It was a really tough book. But I think I'm going to class it under like COVID opportunities. Like
Nice.
instead of having my own games to go over, I'm doing this. Actually, it's kind of fun. It sent me down this other road because I was like, yeah, instead of like doing an annotations of your own games, you should annotate just a Rook ending. Forget the rest, and see how that goes. With the sense that the Rook ending is totally different. So I knew that U.S. Championship 2010 played Yermo, and I failed to win this Rook ending. And anyway, so I'm gonna that's gonna be my next path. I'm gonna spend a lot of time I'm gonna actually do the whole game, but I'm gonna look at that Rook ending.
That's cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely had many games where like every move in the Rook Endgame was like a mistake or a blunder by both sides, and it's just like back and forth. The advantage swings. Yeah, there's just so many details and so much depth to Rook Endgames that, yeah, very very much worth studying. Shall we put one of the games in and just start taking a look?
Yeah. Let me see here. I think if I go to the analysis board, Let me see if I can do this. What am I trying to do here? I'm trying to add the. I think yeah, you have to add me as a participant
Oh,
or
I'm
something.
sorry. That's right. Um, okay, you should be able
Okay.
to now.
So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just upload Vishnu's game. There we go. And so this I know a little bit about. And first, this is already the first kind of interesting point.
Oh, he backs down. No
He
more
backs down.
F3.
He backs down. He spent so much time learning F3, and now he's gonna play classical. And anyways, B6. I consider B6 to be a small inaccuracy, precisely because of knight e2.
Mm,
And now you're gonna get like a better version of this.
sure.
And bishop a6. This is an advantage for white, but I think after d5, that queen a4 is not as strong as b3. And this is, let's say, a known position to be better for white,
Oh, I see. Okay.
where we have the
Interesting.
two bishops, and we're really going to claim that the bishop on a6 is a disaster. You know, it's basically going to have to, we're claiming with b3 that it's going to have to go back in.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Vishnu, let's just say this position's also interesting, but I want to say just my gut reaction to this is that black should be fine.
Right. Yeah, I think so as well. And the timing is interesting. Like he spent about 3.5 minutes on queen a4 check.
Hmm.
And then after queen d7, he spent another 5 minutes on queen takes d7. He has actually taken. So that suggests to me that he wasn't expecting queen d7 here, because he would have already decided if he wants to trade queens or not when he played queen a4 check. So it seems like maybe he was expecting like c6 here or something.
Maybe, and c6 is probably fine. I mean, there's some questions there with c6 and taking on. I'm not also. I just had a realization. I think that he might probably wanted to do b3, but then had a fear about this variation that goes knight c6, bishop e2, knight a5. And if you don't know it, it can kind of freak you out. But the point is really that it's very difficult after a move like rook b1 to actually do anything.
Wow.
For example, takes here and there's no knight b3,
Mm,
and b5 is going to slam you,
wow.
right? So this is, but if you didn't know that, I think you would be hesitant to play b3.
Yeah, that's the kind of detail that adds like so much strength to like the position.
Right.
That yeah, I mean, that could easily have been maybe not Vishnu's, but someone else's reasoning to avoid that. And
Right.
wow, it's a really deep idea.
And this position in general, like, funny, actually, I want to say almost one of the great things about playing the Nimzo is generally you will get a dynamic where black has more time, white has the bishops, right?
Yeah.
And it is a thing where you have to have a lot of skill to like guide that into a position where you get the advantage, and then have the skill to convert the advantage. It's not the playing with the bishop is not a simple thing. So,
Yeah,
anyways,
absolutely.
I think Vishnu's gonna watch this stream, and I'm gonna say, buddy, I know you were scared about whatever prep he had in mind with your F3 move, and I think this would have been good. Yeah. Quirked is a violent man, though, and so it's kind of surprising that he went for the queen exchange. That's kind of interesting. And I like what Quirk did. He took back immediately with the king, and that feels correct to me.
Yeah, I think he kind of had to, just because it seems like stuff is hanging. No, maybe he could have said knight bd7 is fine.
He might have done. Now,
Um,
here's the question. My one question about king d7 is, could we play b3 now?
right.
Maybe we can. Maybe we can. I think black, there's actually a number of ways black could be fine. But again, white can now make a claim about bishops.
Yeah. To me, black still has something to prove here, 100%. To actually like equalize. Yeah, because if they don't, then yeah, it's just two bishops and just kind of a long-term edge for free.
Right.
Yeah, actually, somehow I guess I was expecting knight d7 here, but the problem, well, I guess the only problem would be takes and then taking on e6 or something like this.
But we're gonna take like here, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe this is still a little scary. It's true. Like we can go, let's say here, here, here. Though I have my doubts.
Right.
For example, here, here, and either king e6 or rook g6, both scare me.
Or wait, second move.
Or excuse me, not rook g6, rook g8.
Right. Yeah.
So I don't know how to evaluate this, but I would be freaked out. I'd be freaked out if I saw this. No,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say no. I'm just gonna say no. This is not what you want.
Yeah.
This is not what you want.
It's not worth it. I mean, it's a beautiful puzzle, but yeah. I would add even like bishop h5 seems annoying, but
Yeah, sure. And with the opposite color, the pawns are.
so then maybe black can take this way.
Yeah, I think he can play knight d7. There's virtue though to taking with the king as well. I think because you can say to yourself, look, buddy, you know, if I can, I'm going to aim for a knight c6 later.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm going to try to claim that my king is strong on d7. And I think that's all basically true.
Yeah, that seems to be the intention, knight c6. So now it's up to white. So I'm guessing this idea with rook b1 still works.
But hold on. Hold on. Knight c6 doesn't work anymore because of cd.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I'm sorry. Let's go back.
So, but b3 is totally fine. And black has a big choice here. I was even wondering about c5. I have no idea what's going on after c5, but that's just one of the things that popped through my mind. You could conceivably take on c4 first as well,
Mm-hmm.
and then do your knight c6. Black's got the jump on the development. The jump.
Can we try b4 here as white, or?
Totally, yeah. You get to b4. Yeah, an interesting game. I mean, bishop b7 is a move. d5 is a thought. Loads of things here.
Yeah, so Vishnu goes CD, which, yeah, suggests he was very unclear about b3 here. Maybe he just thought it's just going to be weak, like c5 or something. I don't know. To me, it looks like white is definitely, I mean, only white seems to be better. But
Well, okay, and you're saying that based on like a pawn structure.
yeah, I just feel like with the two bishops, we put this guy here, we play knight b5 at some point, maybe f3. It seems like white should be under control.
Wait, are we? I'm not sure we're looking at the same position. Oh, you mean instead of CD?
Yeah, sorry, I'm on move 10 b3,
Right.
and then dc4, bc4, c5.
And also, yeah, I guess I would have wanted knight c6 instead of c5, but c5 was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was just saying this kind of structure feels like white is better with dc, bc, bishop b2.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So I don't know. Yeah, but see d5 taking. Now this feels like black is just like definitely fine.
Well, let's play one more move. Let's say b4.
Yeah. Take.
You see, when I make a move There's something.
I was seeing your moves earlier. Yeah, like you played Rook F1.
I was on the. So yeah, Rook takes F1, and Black. Yeah, Black needs. Black obviously Black has a lead in development. Needs to make a claim. How they're going to be active without letting the Kraken loose on C1.
You're right.
And in addition to Bishop F1, and say C6, but on C6 you could play B5 right away. Like, the black pieces are a little funny.
Right.
Like, I believe there's a way for Black to do it, but it's not so simple.
Yeah, I'm looking for a way to just get this knight to D6. That's all I want.
I remember that's your favorite square from the Vote Chess game.
It's the only thing I understand about a pawn on D5 is that a knight is good behind it. But yeah, it is awkward. And then white just wants to play like F3, E4 real quick and get the bishop out. Yeah, definitely not like super easy for black.
Like, for example, I feel if Black plays C6, then B5 is a small.
Right. This would be nice.
And on takes Rook F1, you could play C6 and then aim for A5. Like, you could go snip, Rook takes C6. Let's say your F3 move, play A5. But, you know, like, let's say even look at this position. The knight is kind of deaded.
Yeah.
So maybe more natural would be to play knight C6 with the intention of knight E7, 5, D6.
Right.
Let's go through that with your F3 though, because if we go knight E7, maybe you can play that way. If you can get that off the ground.
Yeah, then white looks like better. I mean, white is.
And maybe rook E8 first before knight E7 or something, you know.
Right.
But
yeah, there's also knight D8, knight B7. So yeah, maybe this one. I'm trying to do this guy.
Good. No. It's actually pretty. Both of these guys are not used to these Karpovian endings. In fact, I've never seen. I was just thinking recently. Because I was looking at this game that I played with Yermo, which is kind of like the classical endgame style game. A lot of, and I haven't seen a lot of that from any level of chess recently. You know, like this kind of position.
Yeah, I guess players just feel like there are more chances with queens on the board.
I'm the last person on earth who thinks this stuff is interesting.
Yeah.
the very last one. I'm the holdout.
No, I mean, the action continues, though. I get what you're saying. These positions are very interesting. I mean, there's like G4, H6, H4.
Right.
You know, white keeps going. There's rook A2.
Well, tell you what, let's bring in Todd's game, and then maybe it'd be fun to get, you could tell us about your Norm Hunter show, too.
Yeah, actually, it's a great opportunity. Okay, we got someone redeemed the hydrate, so.
All right.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I've been working now with Todd for, I think we've done 8 episodes. And he's my first client, let's say, on Norm Hunter. And so the idea of the whole show, if you haven't heard of it, is basically just me working with players like I'm hoping to get masters like 22, 2300s, and just trying to take like a look at their chess and help them figure out like what they need to do to get to that level where they're like 23, 2400 and starting to like actually fight for norms. It was well, it was a show I've been wanting to do for a while. Of course, all the norm tournaments in the world have been like postponed, but they'll be back in a couple months, and now is actually the time to do like serious hardcore training and really try to like step it up. Well, Todd approached me with something interesting. He basically just wanted someone to help him track his training. He wanted someone to like outline a training plan and then hold him to it. Because as you know, he's Strong Chess. He's a fitness guy, and they're all about like accountability and like doing the work and keeping track of it and like having a personal trainer and that kind of thing. I don't have any GM norms, I'm afraid to say. They're very tough. They're like 2600 performance rating required. Very, very difficult. I've cracked 2500 a couple times in terms of like tournament performance, but 26 is a whole nother level. And basically with Todd, we don't do any like super serious training, but we'll review his training plan on a weekly basis. So he's been working through Perfect Your Chess this whole time, doing 6 problems a day, at least 5-6 days every week. And he's also been going through annotated games. At first it was this book called How Karpov Wins by I think Medness. I don't know if you've heard of it, Jesse.
Oh, that's surprising. Okay, I haven't heard of that book in a long time. Yeah.
Nice. And so he was going through that one. It's like kind of light annotations, but the idea is that, you know, he's more of a tactical player, so going through some Karpov games was going to give him some more like positional ideas, or just kind of introduce him to like a different style of playing. And then he got through most of that one, and then recently switched over to going through Life and Games of Mikhail Tal. Which is definitely a lot more fun, but I figured like he wants to read the book. It's a great book. It's a great author. Like the games are amazing, so that seems like a good idea. If he's excited about reading it, then absolutely. Yeah, and then we'll do some like little training in some of the streams, some like calculation exercises, or we've gone through a couple of his games from the round robins, which have been pretty interesting. Seeing him trying out like different positions and playing different things.
Well, let's ask about this decision that he made here on move 9. I guess I have strong feelings about this. Very, let's call it accelerated English that White is playing over here.
Mm-hmm.
And probably White has a right to play like this, though it's, you know, it seems iffy to me. Then he plays c6, and I want to say I don't like it much. It can't ruin the game, but I don't like it much. Maybe I shouldn't have such an attitude about it, but what I want him to do is I want him to move this knight and then play f5.
Right.
I don't know where he wants to put it yet, but I want him to move the knight and play f5. H5 would be the most natural way of doing it. And I think Black's got some nice initiative in that case. You know? Very nice, really. I mean, let's just say normal moves are played. I'm threatening e4, so maybe, I don't know, some bishop d2. And yeah, this is, you know, when you play this structure, I assume this is what you want, right? And there's a variety of ways that Black could proceed now. Whereas c6, okay, maybe I'm being hard on this move, but first of all, knight f3 I think is the natural move for White after c6. But what are you doing? You're giving White later the possibility of playing b5 and opening the rook.
Yeah.
Right after we cast.
Yeah, I think everything you said makes sense. I mean, Todd is a King's Indian player, so something like this does feel like it would be more his speed. And I play this kind of setup with Black as well. I don't really face like this kind of really early rook b1 stuff. To be honest, this is pretty unusual from what I've seen. Like the knight just goes to f3, White castles, and then they figure it out in most cases. But yeah, I never liked putting the pawn on c6 until much later, when we know we're ready to play like d5 soon and bishop is on e6. This knight has already been transported to like e7 or somewhere more useful, And then, yeah, like everything is kind of mobilized. Because here it does feel like it does give white just a very obvious hook. I imagine his idea was to play for a quick d5. I think maybe this is what white was thinking as well, because otherwise knight f3 does seem like the most obvious move. But my guess would be maybe both players were kind of afraid of this one. Not really sure, but I would start here probably.
Right, fair enough.
And let me say hey to 403 Trio Tino, new to the channel, discovered us from YouTube. Welcome. Also welcome to Leo de Campus Ferreira. We are glad to have you guys. We are just covering some classical chess, slowing things down.
Slowing things down. Yeah, slowing things down. Well, what's interesting about what White did, and I want to give White's least credit for creating a problem, is that you're going to say, I'm going to do the most violent things first, and then I'm going to wait. Then I'm going to wait to see where to put the pieces. And, you know, e4 is interesting, and then, like, you know, he can aim maybe for an f4 later after a knight e2 or something like that. Let's call this a Botvinnik structure or something.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, oh, yeah, we have a full-on fight, too. So what happened here was bishop e6, knight f3. It's kind of weird to play knight f3 because you could have played knight e2 and then you're stopping d5 entirely. Then Black said, all right, I'm going to do it. And here we are. And now White took very dangerous decision. No, I don't know. I have no idea yet if this is right with knight e5, but it looks wrong. Maybe it's correct. I don't know.
It looks yeah, extremely risky for sure. Yeah, I'm guessing this d5 again came as a surprise for White. Because otherwise, yeah, knight g2 just seems so much more logical. I'm wondering if, I mean, I'm not familiar with, I think this is Junior on Discord. I'm not familiar, or Chess Juice. I'm not familiar with his like repertoire, if he's just like an English player. And because a lot of these guys, yeah, they just play the reverse dragon with like knight f3. This knight always goes to d2. And so maybe he doesn't play like the Botvinnik stuff too much, or hasn't played it to know that the knight is just going to be like better placed here. But now he decides to take.
I think this is going to be a moment for Black to think about what's going on. It's got several. I mean, maybe this is playable. You know, if you're going to play knight f3, I guess you're saying I can get away with this knight takes e5 thing. Maybe. So Black's candidate moves, let's see, we got the obvious knight fd7, knight g4, some kind of taking on c4.
Well, knight fd7 seems like the first choice, because
let's look at knight fd7 first.
Everything is kind of hanging.
I don't know, d4? I don't know what to do for the guy.
d4, sure.
I mean, DC is the natural move. Seems like it's better for Black. Hard to fully.
Honestly, I'm just not sure. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. It looks complicated. Yeah, I guess we're taking on e5, and it's just like this one is gonna hang.
Right, and at some point you got to worry about bishop f5. Just a simple claim about this pawn on c4 being strong and this rook being already developed.
Yeah. You know what? I'm just gonna take the chat perspective and say, well, what about bishop takes b7?
Okay. You thought I was gonna do something fancy? Maybe I could do something fancy. I just thought, let's just. This seems good too.
No, no, I knew. It's just like whenever, whenever I like stream chess, there's always like it's like a complicated position, and then there's one guy in the chat is like, why can't I just take that pawn? Like, isn't that just good? Like, just take the pawn. What's wrong? And then, but it turns out like, well, everything still hangs. So it's, yeah. I mean, this.
There
looks,
might be some way for white to survive here.
This looks really dangerous.
Oh yeah, no, it
Yeah,
looks horrendous.
this is no joke.
The
So-
tempo, yeah.
Right. So question from 403 Trio. Without having a coach, is it possible to study a lot of game collections from past champions enough to become a master? Yeah, I mean, I think so. I would say, like, honestly, the main thing I would just suggest is focus on what you find interesting about the game. Like choose a player from history that you think was an interesting player. Alekhine, Capablanca, Rubinstein. Like, there are many, many great personalities. Choose one that you think is worth studying, and then don't worry about the rating. Like, the rating will come. You have to become a stronger player. So focus on studying the parts of the game that like you enjoy, and like you'll get the most out of it. Oh, that would be my advice.
Oh man, my student Eric just lost the game.
Oh no.
Well, let me ask you a question. This is a new question of technology, I guess. So when I look at Lichess, why must I always lose to this idiot? WMILTTI is doing this thing. Maybe it's fine, but like he's in the spectator room himself making comments during the game.
Yeah, I think the way that works is so the players they don't see the spectator chat. And if
okay, go ahead.
sorry, so yeah, if they type something normally, I think it typically just goes to their opponent. But there's some command, I think maybe people in the chat can help us out. It's like if you do like /spectator or /whisper or something like that, then they can send their thoughts to the spectator room. It's a big thing, I think, in the Twitter chess culture, because they know people are usually watching because they're always like posting the game on Twitter, and then there'll be people in the I guess watching the game on Lichess. Okay, Vintage says whisper. Yeah, so if you ever watch Vishnu's games, he's talking like throughout the whole game basically as he's playing.
Right. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Why don't I pull this game up?
And then afterwards, it's always fun because you read through like what your opponent was saying. It's like a confession booth,
Got it. Yeah, I see. Because it was weird because Vishnu's also making comments on that, or was making comments. Now he's playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spectators, they can just see everything.
Let's roll through this game real quick. So, my student Eric is a kid, and he plays the Najdorf, I would say, in his own special way. He doesn't care at all about developing his pieces.
Mm-hmm.
Like Najdorf players, they don't care about development that much anyway. But he likes these Scheveningen structures, and he likes to push b5 like a madman.
Yeah. Well, this seems playable.
Yeah. So we get this whole thing. And
Knight c6 is, I think, weird.
this position, though, right now is fine. Right? I'm wondering now, too, like, here's an interesting question. He plays knight d7, and allowing white to take. Part of me wants him to... Okay, let's just say it's okay. Look at this. No, he doesn't care about the development at all.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't. I guess I would want him to play bishop e7 here. Okay, get this position. He's still doing fine. And this is the move I'm not sure I like with d5. Other than that, it's been a kind of interesting, by all means, interesting. Like, maybe rook c6 here?
So you're just saying that white isn't really threatening much on the king side?
I don't think he's threatening anything yet.
Like g6, bishop f6, like this kind of thing?
Well, let's say I play rook c6. I just want to, obviously, I want to play rook f6. There's no reason for me to actually play it there. C6.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, if
Fischer.
we try like g6 with white.
Here.
Mm-hmm.
Here. Here.
Well, rook dg1.
Well, it's obviously very complicated. I could play bishop f6, and I could think about that move. So on rook f3, you want to murder me somehow. Instantly, I assume.
Yeah, I think we're just taking on h6.
Okay, so if I play bishop f6.
Yeah.
Well, it feels like a pretty typical Sicilian position, this one.
Yeah, definitely thematic. I'm not too sure. I guess c3 would be like maybe a move. Or maybe even some rook h2. But yeah, but I don't think black is in huge danger here. So
Anyways,
you think
yeah,
d5 was too rash?
Yeah, looks like you're making a weakness, and part of the problem is in these positions where white's king is better than black's king now, and you have the weakness on d5. Feels like white's the one having the fun.
Yeah, I like h6 a lot from white. Because now he's just playing like for just strategic advantage.
Yeah, no, he's playing this game pretty nicely here. Maybe black got away with one there. Dang, look at this guy.
Yeah.
Look at this guy. Dang.
Yeah, that was clean. Yeah.
I mean, he played that really well, man. He played, I mean, we could argue about the opening or something, but this little section here, nice. That seems right. That seems right.
Maybe black needed to play f6, like right here.
If you play f6, I could take on d5. But maybe you still do it.
Right, yeah.
But you are going to have to defend. Let's say f6, f4.
Yeah, f4, yeah, it just doesn't. Oof. Yeah, that's just like long-term problematic.
Very nice game, yeah. Very nice game. And at some point, why don't we pull up the cross table?
Oh, sure. I don't have it set it up, but maybe we could just quickly look at Mitch's game, and then I can grab it.
Sure. Let me grab Mitch's game here. If you guys don't know, Mitch is our openings expert. Guy is rated 25 million in the ratings.
Adjustable.
On the openings. Okay. So go queen d2. And one of the things I know already is that Mitch has spent some time, watching some chessable courts on how to crush the perk with this opening setup here.
Maybe he has. I don't know. Actually, I think black's choice was very interesting. G6, just playing like, because I think black, is a pretty solid player. I don't think he's like a G6 guy. I think he plays like some normal stuff, but maybe trying to avoid the famous Mitch prep. It's like mind games going on.
Castles, very thematic. This move, I'm not a fan of this move, b6. That can't be right. It feels like a mouse slip, honestly. It feels like he wanted to play b5, but somehow he's only playing b6.
Yeah, b6 is very weird. I agree.
Oh, that's a terrible move. Sorry, Countersparks. You're gonna watch this. Like, Cry told me that was a terrible move. No, he needs to play either b5 or castles. or
Yeah.
knight b7.
Right.
The whole idea of c6 is so you play b5 and get an initiative quickly against the white king.
Yeah. Or knight d7, queen a5. No, you're absolutely right, I think.
Yeah, you got to get. So this is. I'm gonna go ahead and say this is lost. I know that sounds rough, but like in my experience, if you are playing opposite sides castling and you lose a tempo, that's game over.
Well, but the bishop is also a little bit weird on h4. Not weird, but white isn't getting h4, h5, right? Like they would normally crush. I think if, just for example, like if black didn't play knight g4 and just left this alone, let's say like castles, b6, f3, bishop b7, then like bishop h6, h4, h5, just really dangerous.
Well, let me submit to you, Kostya. Let me submit to you that there will be another way to get through. King b1 is debatable because especially now that b6 is effectively blocked out the queen coming out, it's debatable that you need it. But okay, let's say bishop a6, now knight h3. I think it's just going to be a question of creativity. You will be able to open black up. There's no doubt that he will get opened up.
Yeah.
In addition to knight h3, there's obviously g4. But knight h3 looks fine, yeah.
I mean, white is undoubtedly better. I was just trying to say that it's like more of a space advantage, kind of slow, like what you would get against the King's Indian, compared to like some other lines when things go wrong for black in the perk, where white just plays like h5, h takes g6, and just like gives mate. So this.
Yeah, but check it out though. Check it out.
Mm-hmm.
What knight takes? You can't play knight d7 yet. So what? Take on f1.
Yeah, let's say rook f1.
Okay.
And knight d7.
Knight d7, and I just play a natural move here, g4.
Mm-hmm. Well, queen c7.
It is true that this knight is annoying me. h3. What are you doing, knight? You should have stayed home on g1 for a little bit.
No, well, white is like much better. I would agree.
Much better, yeah. And there's a couple different ways of going about it.
And hey, we got Matt in the chat.
Yeah, why must I lose this idiot?
Yep.
Good game. Yeah, we just covered it a little bit, and we felt, maybe you can chime in, we felt you played a great game, and that d5 from Eric was a mistake, but especially after d5, we felt you played pretty well. Yeah, so congratulations. That was a good game.
Yeah, I liked h6 a lot, like creating that long-term back rank problem. That was quite smart. I have the cross table here, Jesse.
Okay, great. Let's check it out.
So this is actually Warrior Group 2. So we have multiple groups that are playing ongoing round robins. This is the second one where we have Matt in the second position, Eric in third position, also Strong Chess and Junior. These guys are playing today. And yeah, actually tons of games already been played. I mean, we're well past the halfway mark, it seems like, of the tournament. The thing about these round robins is that these guys can play games whenever they want, so it's not like a set schedule. It's just as soon as they're scheduled to play a game, they just go play it. They mark the result. The colors are all decided, and that's that. So here it looks like, let's see, who's doing best. So there's some 3.5s, but like there's a couple of guys with 3 out of 4, so they just haven't played as many games, but their percentage is pretty good. With Junior being one of them, Blazin.
Yeah.
Strong Chess on 3.5 out of 5. So if he wins this one, he'll be in good shape. And then we have the first group here, with Vishnu on 3 out of 7, Bubba 5.5 out of 8. Shash Masteo 5.5 out of 7. Mitch 4 out of 6, very decent score.
Yeah, counter sparks. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, counter sparks here as well. Can you briefly check game per frames game? Yeah, I saw he was playing one earlier today. Maybe if you can send me a link uh, on Discord, I can pull it up. See what happened there. But yeah, let's get back to the action.
How about let's check out, let's do an update with your student. Their student, the famous Strong Chess. And it's gone. It's gone the way we predicted.
Yeah, D4.
We're going to give ourselves some credit here. That we instantly saw the way it was going to go. Knight FD7, D4, snip. Now, you didn't have to do snip. You could have also played DC, I think. But, right, now we're going to be looking at this position and...
But DC is such a grandmaster move. I mean, just like non-forcing, giving your opponent like bishop b7.
Well, what else are you going to do? I mean, I'm flattered. Flattered by the GM move. But what else are you going to do? You got to like... that pawn needs to get out of the way, and it's a nice fat pawn on c4.
Well, it makes sense to take on e5 first, and then maybe take here. I would say is more of like, yeah,
Right.
what the average player would be thinking.
And Todd, I don't know what he's contemplating something here because he's been on move for.
Well, there's a couple moves. There's bishop e5, there's d4, and dc.
But bishop e5, you can just do knight d5 and then white's golden, right? Maybe I'm missing something there. Maybe he's thinking about like bishop e5, knight d5, bishop f5 is a thought, I guess.
Yeah, actually, I mean, well, rook b3, but the line, yeah, certainly might continue.
It's funny, and all I'm saying is you should, if you're going to do that, you should at least think longer in this position, because the nice thing actually to my mind about DC was we're not committing to the queen exchange.
Mm-hmm.
We're just leaving that waiting.
Right.
We're just claiming that this pawn is massive. C4.
Yeah, well, okay, looks like we finally got DC. So maybe he was just checking his options, but yeah, ends up going for this one. Now, yeah, I don't see like full equality here for white. Just seems like black is gonna, every line just seems to end with bishop e5, some endgame, rook a3 coming, and white being in trouble against these two bishops. But maybe he has some...
Yeah, I think it's going to be a problem here. It's definitely going to be a problem.
Oh yeah, now this pawn is taking away this square, so that, yeah, reopens all these bishop f5 ideas.
Oh yeah, that's... and I mean...
Oh, I think we lost you, Jesse.
I got back. I don't know what it is. It's my camera or whatever, or the Discord, but it drops me once.
So weird.
Drop, so.
Okay. Let's see, I got another game. Yeah, we have another game to look at if we reach a lull.
I'll give an update with Mitch's game is that it kind of went the way we expected, mostly. And Vishnu's game has gone the Karpovian distance that we thought it was going to go.
Oh, yeah? Nice.
Quirk B4 was played, and Quirk is thinking forever, as I guess he should, about what's next.
Uh-huh. Okay, yeah, maybe we can give an update on this game. So we had just bishop a6, and then white playing for f3, e4, as usual. Although his last move was pretty sharp. This pawn is hanging, but he's made it work.
Wait, are we on the same game? No, Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Wait a second.
on the Vishnu game.
Let me see what happened. I'm gonna refresh that then. Something different. Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, it was showing me a different situation. Okay.
Yeah, I'll just put it in real quick.
Now, what was kind of interesting is that he didn't go for. Yeah, Vishnu actually, I'm listening. Just at a first glance, he looks like he's got a nice little advantage here. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, to me, it still feels pretty solid for black. Like I would try like 96 here. And
well, okay, let's try it out. So, 96, E5.
yeah, knight g8.
And then I'm assuming bishop E3.
And then,
oh, actually, maybe 97 is too annoying.
yeah.
Maybe so let's say 92.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're right. You could play 97.
Yeah, I think 97 or
97 and if F4 you got knight F5.
right.
Okay.
And like, then we're good. We're just
Yeah, then you're absolutely fine. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back.
sure. So right now black is actually thinking after e4, and so white's last move is kind of a good example of just using, you know, tactics to kind of justify your strategy, because I mean this e4 is really a strategic idea. It's white trying to gain space in the center and open up the bishop, but it has to be justified tactically because of course black can take the pawn, and then I guess the idea is to go rook takes f7 probably first, so that there's no rook e7 as we can trade and pick up this knight. If we had taken on e4 first, then rook takes f7, black can at least go rook e7. White is still better here. I would say we have some nice initiative with like bishop g5 coming, but taking on f7 first leaves black with even fewer options, as now they can't block, and white's rook is just kind of taking everything here. So king d6, bishop f4, maybe king here, then we can take this one, rook takes, bishop g5 is a thought. We can also take on g7, and yeah, this looks like even worse for black, with all of white's pieces just going to be pretty active here. So yeah, I don't think black probably considered this too much. Once you see rook f7 is dangerous, you kind of just know you can't take on e4. He goes 96, which I think makes a lot more sense. And now, yeah, white has to be pretty precise here, I would say, to get some advantage. Maybe bishop e3 is a better try than e5, because with e5 it seems like black quickly gets out, sets up on the light squares, and yeah, plays like this Nimzo style. Hey Scott Post, you guys start at 7:30. Is that Eastern time, 7:30? If so, yes, we will definitely cover your game. Just make sure to post it in the Discord if you can. If you can post the link to the game. If not, we'll find you, so don't worry about it. We'll just search Scott Post. But yeah, if you can post the link to the game when it starts, that might make things easiest for us. And, you know, post it in like the tournament Discord channel, like the general one. Or wherever. You can also just send me like a private message. Yeah, no worries. So yeah, now e5 has not been played yet, and I don't think I would expect it. I think bishop e3 kind of makes more sense to keep the tension. And then black, of course, has to worry about this all the time. So I would consider a move like g6. Maybe Jesse will think this is dumb, but to me, this seems like a useful move to be prophylactic, so that whenever black does go e5 and f4, we're like already ready to bring this guy back. And if g4, maybe h5. And, well, we're fighting for the light squares, and if f5, then white also has to be somewhat concerned about the king with a rook g8 check, although sometimes they just let black give this check, and then they go for this position knowing that these two pawns are still really strong. So maybe this is a little bit still white is fighting for potential advantage here. Now one move that could be really strong in this position instead of 97 is f5, which is an idea worth remembering, because now either white has to allow this like monster blockade where the knight on e6 is just an absolute beast, or white has to take on f6 and give up some space and also allow this knight back into the game. Now maybe again here white can try to fight for some edge, but honestly I feel like black is doing quite fine. Next maybe rook f8, and yeah, this knight on c3 is actually a really bad piece now. We can kind of see like it's really just having a hard time getting into the game, and black's knights I think are much more active. So I would think that black is doing just fine here. Okay, we do have e5 in the game, knight g8, bishop e3. Now I think knight e7 is the move, where if white goes f4, we're in time to play knight f5 and hitting everything. So this would be a big problem. And if we go... if we go for g4, maybe this is what white should do. Black can still harass white with things like g6 and h5, or even g5 is a possibility here too. And just trying to fix things on this square. Yeah, if we can get knight g6, knight f4, black would be a really, really happy camper. I don't know, what do you think, Jesse? How would black... we have e5, knight g8, bishop e3 on the board. Now maybe knight e7 I would expect, and then if white goes g4, what do you think should be black's response here?
I don't believe in g4. I want to say it right away. I don't believe in that move. So one thing that black already has, if he wants, he can play c5. I definitely don't think he's worse at it.
Just going for it. Yeah.
He might have something more fancy than that, but at the least he's got that. But right, I guess g4 is the move that if you want to be a fancy pants, if you want to try to claim that you're better, you're going to have to do something like that.
Yeah,
it's surprising.
I'm worried about white here, yeah.
It's interesting how in these positions with the queens on, let's say a king on g8, we've seen a lot of these Carlsbad structures with e5. It's usually pretty devastating. But now with the better king, if we get any kind of ending, well, we have an endgame, but obviously what I mean is if we get some kind of shakedown, then the king's valor should prove itself. For example, if we've got, say, some kind of g4, c5, knight e2, or knight e5, I'm not sure. Let's just say knight e2 to keep things simple. Like, worst case scenario, we got that, and black is just fine. Well, more than fine. More than fine position.
Yeah.
So this is... So let's go back just 1 second here. So this e5, wonder... The other option would have been... Actually, it might have been clever to play bishop e3 first on move 16. It looks like maybe while I was gone, you were looking at that. Is that right?
Yeah, I thought G6.
G6 is pretty deep, buddy. That's pretty deep. But if that's the case, then definitely E5 is. If G6 is Black's best, then E5 is a mistake.
Yeah, I thought this is better. But I had a nice idea. I thought here E5, knight G8, F4, and then F5.
Oh, but if your best move is G6, we're not in any hurry, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
We could play Rook AD1. We could play maybe even something violent like G4 now. I'm not sure about that, but that's just, that's the kind of violent thing that would go through my head.
Yeah.
But Rook AD1 would be the simplistic move to just hold everything together.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I think White should have just taken their time a bit. I didn't see the big rush to go
It
E5.
was the natural move, right? It was the move that first went through our heads, at least mine. I'm like, well, E5 is the thing you normally do here.
Yeah.
But it's not fast enough. And part of the bummer is that Black has a dark square bishop and doesn't have a light square bishop, so you can't fight for the blockade square with a piece. And you gotta do something weird like G4, and then bam, C5's coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So question from Chompton. Yeah, if you play one of these round robin games on Friday night ladder stream, then absolutely I'll cover it. Because yeah, last week there was only, or on Friday there was only one game, so I would have definitely had room to cover it. So that would be fine. I'm seeing that Mitch has actually, there's a 1-0 on Mitch's game, but I feel like
It says by abandonment.
yeah, I think there was maybe a disconnection or something. So I don't know what happened here.
No idea.
I don't think of Counter Sparks as a big rage quitter when he doesn't get his position. So yeah, maybe we'll see if they can restart their game. And then we have F6 from Corked.
That doesn't look right. Yeah, that looks abysmal.
Oh, they seem to have restarted their game. So it looks like they're going to try to get back to the original, or the game position with 60 minutes on their clock. So that's good. It seems like a good solution. Vintage, the Friday night ladder stream is usually around 4:30 p.m. Pacific time on Fridays. So it's kind of late.
Did you do it this last Friday?
Yeah. Actually had a game between Blazin and another guy from the dojo.
Let me show you. I just got to share some chess news with you that I just found hilarious. So, you've probably played the World Open at some point in your life. I'm sure you've played a lot of like Goichberg events, and so Goichberg has always felt like he's been stuck as an organizer in like 1982 or something like that.
Right.
And he just sent me this email. It's like the Continental Chess Association sends you emails if you've ever played one of their tournaments. And he sends this email out, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna do the World Open, but we're gonna do it online." And guess where they're playing this online event?
I heard ICC.
ICC. They're gonna play it on ICC, and I was like, ICC? That's so 2001. Man, oh man. I didn't even know the ICC still existed.
Right. Yeah,
Anyways,
it's
that's my hilarious piece of chess news for the day.
Yeah, that's high tech. Playing it on the Internet Chess Club.
So let me guess that what Quirk is saying is that with F6, he is going to make some kind of claim that if Vishnu plays F4 and they get FE, FE, That's
No, I think he wants f5.
You think he wants F? Okay. I'm trying to diagnose it because it doesn't seem right to me.
Hmm.
But okay, if we play F4, fine. And we're gonna say it's so much better than if I had just played F5 immediately.
Well, that I don't know. Maybe he could have.
This looks so good with 97. That looks so simple and strong.
Taking on e5.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm again on the board. No, I was saying instead of F6 to play 97.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
But okay, F6. Let's promote this. Just in general, I'm opposed to it because white really wants to open the board for his bishop. But rook AD1 is up by a bishop. Wait, he didn't. Are you sure he played? Oh, that was my moves. I gotta be careful. There's I can make mistakes here. So unfortunately, Vishnu played F4, which I think you're right. Is it F5? And the problem, of course, with F4 is the bishop is becoming worse and worse, and you got to be very sensitive toward that poor bishop.
Yeah. No, I was wrong. He does take on e5, so I guess that was his idea.
I like your move. I like your move, Vishnu, because he wants. One reason I didn't really guess. I didn't really think it was going to do it. Is it seems pretty nuanced to play F6 and then F5.
Right. Right.
Bigorito actually told me of a trick once, where if it's to your advantage to play F5, what you do is you play F6, feinting that you're going to take on E5, and then you play F5 next because they're not thinking that you're going to play F5.
Right. Yeah, I think Gristrick said the same thing. It's so funny, but it's so true because like if you wanted to play F5, you could have just played it immediately. So
Right.
your opponent thinks. Yeah, I guess he just wanted the open files. Now we're getting some changes. Takes.
Now, I
F8.
do want to say, I think DE is interesting for white. There's reason to play, the reasoning for DE is to say, I'm not afraid of D4 anyway, and I want to roll you with F5, E6.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this looks like it was played pretty quickly, but I think, what do you think about this DE? To me, it feels correct.
Super risky. I mean, yeah, it's just like a very, very responsible decision for white to make this one. I don't know.
Well, let me say this. The other one's risky for white, too, because if I get enough time to play my knight eventually to F5, then I'm going to have a problem. And my knight on C3 is pretty freaking terrible here with the FE structure.
Right.
And on the DE structure, I have thoughts of activation through rook AD1 and knight E4.
Yeah. But I think it doesn't happen. Like Black always meets rook D1 with king C7. So here
Well, okay, so yeah, let's play it out a little bit, just because I want to see if this is actually dangerous, because it looks more dynamic to me than the FE.
Yeah, let's say I would go G6.
Okay, probably worst. So you're gonna say now. Let's say rook FD1.
Yeah, go here.
Rook AC1.
I keep running.
Four.
Okay, A6. Yeah, I'm not sure about it, but let me just try b5.
Okay, this at least allows me to do something interesting. I was looking forward to doing this. Whether this works or not, I don't know. But my idea was AB,
Yeah.
AB, knight d5.
Uh-huh.
Let's say takes, and rook d5. And I think, well, I don't know what to think. It looks interesting.
Yeah, annoying. Knight c7.
I think knight c7 feels right. Now, maybe rook d6, given that I have rook d6 as a threat. But rook d7, I think I'm winning the h7. I think I feel good about life after that as well. With rook d6, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how cool I am. You know, when I do that move, I don't know. I don't know how cool I'm actually being. Let's play the natural one here, rook d7.
Yeah, okay. Rook c8.
Okay, so in addition to rook h7, I have rook a1. Now maybe you just go rook a8. But let's leave rook h7.
Knight e7.
It's rook a1, maybe not that impressive. Maybe rook a1 is just. Anyway, something like this, rook h7. And yeah, I mean, hard to completely judge through, but I guess I would say I'd much rather be white. Yeah, interesting decision. And maybe this is the kind of game you'd expect when you play for knight d5.
Right, yeah, I think with d takes e5, white like commits themselves. You just have to play very quickly for this counterplay.
You know, Korshner had a great quote once where he was talking.
Nice.
This was not in the Rook Endgame book, but with somebody saying to something to the effect that DE was dangerous, and he said, "Well, you know, chess is dangerous," and the danger for white in this FE position really is that your knight on c3 is poor, and if black gets his knights in good spots, well, then it's already bad news. And we saw really, I don't think he should have. He lost the tempo to do this f6 thing, and I'm not sure it was really that much to his benefit to lose the tempo there. But it's still dangerous more for white. Whereas DE, I like this chance.
It's definitely a really interesting idea. Like, yeah, staying still is essentially going backwards in chess. If you don't try to move forwards and improve your position,
Well,
a lot of
especially
times
if you
things
have
get worse.
two bad pieces,
Right.
better move it. Better move it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had rook f8, then b4, still useful for white to do this, and knight e7.
Right.
Which means that maybe black is ready to meet b5 with c5.
Exactly. Right. I'm not. I think he better watch out for knight f5 too. I mean, knight f5 is just going to be its own deal.
Right.
No, this is why I wasn't. I mean, unless if you play FE, you better have something right against rook f8 right away, and I don't know what it is. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Okay, well, let's go back to maybe either Mitch's game or Todd's game. Looks like Mitch's game has restarted.
Right. Yeah, let's go to that one. I'll pull up the It isn't. You know, I was being a little nonchalant, describing White's chances as being fantastic. So let's reevaluate that maybe, because you know you were basically saying it wasn't an automatic attack. We have this bishop a6,
Mm-hmm.
and this is our position on the board. Yeah, and part of the drama is just that the knight on h3. Well, we have to be clever about how we get it into the game, because in general, though, there is a weakness on h6, so I think Counter Sparks is dreaming about going long. Right? The guy's dreaming about going long, like knight bd7 and castles. I assume that's what he's thinking.
I don't know if you have to be honest. Because I don't see how White cracks the king side if Black goes like knight d7, castles, and like e5.
Okay, so first you're going to take on f1 if you're going
I mean, yeah, I don't know what our knight is going to be doing on a6, so I think we better just take on f1.
to. And arguably White should have taken on e6.
Yeah,
So
I think that would have displaced things. Right, rook f1, let's say knight d7.
Right, and this is exactly, yeah, this is the moment. Okay, so for example, let's try f4.
Yeah.
Now, if I wanted to be scared about the g4 pawn, I guess I could have played knight f2 first, but I'm not really convinced my knight wants to go to f2. And I don't know if you want to take that pawn either. I think you're going to be forced to take the pawn, though, because e5's coming.
Yeah, e5 is even like c5, White goes e5.
Yeah, I'm always going.
Right. Okay, let's take e5. We'll play. So e6, knight e4. It's really unpleasant. Maybe we go.
See, you said he wasn't going to attack. I think he's got. He's getting an attack.
Yeah, no, this is aggressive. Well, I don't know. Although I still think of this as a space attack. It's just like, just squeezing. Let me try knight f8.
Oh my god.
Now might be castling queenside. We'll see.
Okay, lots of options. So we're just gonna say the options out loud. ID4, ED, some kind of something to.
Okay, it's bad. It's bad.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I don't know exactly what to do yet, but it looks pretty.
I think queen g2. Oh, queen g2, knight e3 still. Okay, I think putting the queen on this diagonal and then going like knight b5 is just gonna like kill, and then like ed and rook e1.
Yeah, it's not going to be pleasant. And that knight on f8, man, it's taking you a while. And at some point, I'm
Yeah.
going to play f5.
Yeah. No, I mean f4 is really strong. I didn't think this was gonna happen. Uh, I
But
thought we
thematically,
had
right,
time. Knight
this is
f2
what
and.
always the stuff that black, like when black loses a tempo with b6, let's say he really lost two with b6 bishop a6. Yeah, there's usually something terrible. Now, it's true that white's pieces, especially the knight on h3, I don't quite feel great about it, but
Mm-hmm.
still, it should be nevertheless in his favor, I would think.
Yeah, no, that's a really strong idea. And let's say if we had taken and gone like, let's maybe just say h5, most flexible move.
A lot of good moves here. We could mention knight g5, f5. But okay, h5. I'll tell you what. Yeah. If it's a Discord issue or what, it doesn't happen to me actually. Well,
Oh, weird. Yeah, we lost you.
I'll come back. I just have to just click on the button every time.
Oh, and I think we got another game going, by the way.
With
Yeah, we got Scott versus Noah.
oh, okay, cool. Totally cool. Let's pull that up here. Yeah, I got it up now. Oh, he's playing his famous line. He's got this line that basically I've seen him play several times, and his opponents never play it correctly because they don't know it. But this guy seems to have done it at least mostly right. But it's actually a good example of like when you play e4. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about it. Let me pull it up. I'll get your opinion as an e4, e5. So we go d4, bishop c4, and then this position, which I think he told me somebody like Fishbein or somebody does all the time, and maybe it may, I think, well, I'll get your take on it, but I think it's just like a roughly equal position where normally black is going to screw it up if they don't, especially if they don't know what's going on. But yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Fishby might be it because he has a book out on like the Scotch Gambit.
Right.
So he's probably a big expert. Hey, Paspon, good to see you. So Noah's actually my student, the player playing black here.
Oh, okay, good.
And
well, my student's going to crush your student.
We'll see. I mean, he's pretty sharp. So I'm rooting for him. And he's been taking these games really seriously. Like he's spent a lot of time in his first two games, I think. In fact, he beat one player so badly the guy quit the tournament because he didn't want to play any more classical chess. couldn't handle it. So yeah, I know he knows a little something about this line. I don't know how deeply he knows this one, but it definitely is dangerous for, I would say, like you said, about equal, but dangerous for both sides. Like one mistake and then the other side can just get like an overwhelming advantage, like right off the bat. Like for black, it can be more dynamic, like getting the two bishops. For white, it's like getting this grip with like the dark squares. So yeah, very kind of double-edged middle game.
Well, black just played an ambitious move quickly, which looks dangerous anyway for both sides. For example, I'm assuming that on knight c6, snip, he's going to do something incredibly violent. like maybe bishop a6.
Yeah, that might have been the idea.
And we're obviously in scary territory for everybody involved. I guess queen d5, you know. This is obviously a true mess, but let's say actually maybe it's all over. Not a true mess because whether you take on d, oh man, this one's frightening. Maybe bishop a8. No. You're gonna get made. Someone's gonna get mated like now.
Yeah.
Someone's
Yeah,
getting mated like now.
that's painful.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so I think we'll see how Scott reacts to this. That is the intention with castles, and it's a very dynamic move, castles. How old is your student?
He's I'm gonna say around 14. I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
My student's about 60 something. So it's a good battle of the generations here. And
Yeah.
one reason I mention it is even though Scott has played this a bunch, I think most people playing black will play something weird early. And now Scott, he played his next move pretty quickly. So yeah, he played positionally here and played snip on c6.
Yeah, bishop c6 is
Great.
pretty thematic, of course. Bishop e3. Yeah, this has to be very theoretical position. I want to say queen e8 is a move, but
Oh my god.
could also see bishop d7.
Let me ask you a question because we're on this e4, e5 interesting stuff.
Yeah.
So I got another video coming out tomorrow on how to crush the French player's soul.
Nice.
And I guess this is my technically the third video I have on crushing the French player's soul. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, I have with certain types of players, I have certain visions of how to crush their soul. But how would you crush like the e4, e5 player's soul? I don't know of like a way.
I think you gotta. There's a couple routes. You came to the right place.
Okay.
Personally, for me, I don't want to give away too much away, but I really don't want to face like a skilled Rui Lopez player. Someone like Josh Friedel, who's just gonna take me into the Rui Lopez and like, play the Spanish torture, something there. That's unpleasant because then white is just playing for 2 results and black is kind of suffering. Some games you'll hold, some games you'll lose, but you're almost never having fun. But I don't think that's the case for every like Rui Lopez player, because there are guys that are just like really positional and they just don't mind that at all. And then against that type of player, I would imagine something like either a sharper line of the Rui Lopez or something like the Italian game would be the way to go. Although the Italian is positional in itself, but there can be like ways to really like sharpen it up, I would say.
It's interesting to me with all these open lines, because I think I mentioned to you some other show we did about Braunstein's book about open games. And this kind of position feels like one of those where it's very dynamic, a lot of calculation, a lot of possibilities to like sack a pawn, do stuff like bishop a6, really fast and loose positions that the e4, e5 players feel like they're very comfortable playing. And right, Friedel, like he's a madman. He played that weird archangel position as black, for example.
Yeah, I like that one.
And right. Anyways, yeah, it seems like
that's what you play when you don't want to get tortured. Yeah.
I think there's gonna be some torture there. I mean, I don't know what you mean by torture. To me, like these days, e4, e5 seems mostly just like a comfortable equality, or like almost equality every single.
I mean, I feel like there are different lines because, yeah, like for instance, even in like the classical line, it's not clear what the best option is for black in terms of just getting like very playable game. I think black kind of has to know a lot all over the place. Maybe the Marshall is the most like directly equalizing one, but of course that black does have to know a lot of theory there and all the like anti-Marshall lines.
Well, we have actually an interesting development right here. Your kid played Queen E8, like you said. Like you said, Scott played F3, and I don't know. I'm a little concerned. Maybe he didn't calculate it, because after knight F6, he's got to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've looked at this with Noah. It feels very, very familiar. I was also thinking knight d6 is possible. If I remember correctly, I think both moves are playable here.
But like, what is white already in a little bit of grief here?
Honestly, I don't remember, but I remember black being absolutely fine.
Because what am I supposed to do? Maybe I do something weird like... Because I feel like F4, knight G4, black is just amazing.
Right. Yeah, WMILTTI is asking about F3, F4. Yeah, so like, there's two main branches in all this stuff. It starts in this position where a lot of players play bishop d7. And then you get a lot of these same lines where black is committed to bishop d7. And then you get these positions like f3, knight g5, f4. Then white trades these guys off, and then yeah, plays knight b3, tries to trade these guys off, plays for the c5 clamp. And if white can get this, just has like a really comfortable position. So black has to play like f6 and these types of things really, really fast. But with bishop c5, I'm not a huge expert to be honest, but clearly if we compare the positions, black has saved the full tempo on bishop d7 and now has more time. I guess here white could have played f3, but there might be something.
Doesn't feel good to me.
Yeah.
Well, the difference is that after bishop e3, let's just pretend bishop e3 is correct, then it does not seem sensible to me to say queen e8 is some amazing, like like, you know, come on, it's not that incredible of a move, right? It's just a move. And we might, unless maybe f3, if we're going to play f3, you better have a good move after knight f6. I'm not sure about it. Look right.
Yeah, Scott is definitely spending some time here.
Maybe he knew it, or maybe he just played it too fast. But f3 doesn't seem like a move you just kind of sort of play fast, right? I mean,
that's true actually. Here there's no knight g5, so f3, if you don't see knight f6 or knight d6, then black is losing a piece here. So yeah, you have to expect that black is going to have a move.
Like, for example, you could think about knight d2 here. Every time you take on e5, you got to worry about knight takes e6.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how to evaluate the position. Well, okay, maybe he got himself in a little trouble here. 14-year-olds, man. The 14-year-olds are really tough. They're really tough.
But it is kind of a strange mistake. I mean, maybe he thought he's just going to decide once black plays knight f6 or knight d6 how he continues from there. I'm not sure, but like, yeah, I mean, if you don't see what black is doing after f3, then I mean, I don't know. Either he thought this was winning or he just thought he doesn't have another move, but yeah, probably should have considered this earlier. I feel like might have a way out, but maybe it's one of those computer things where it's like bishop f2 or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I was thinking about bishop f2, and what I didn't understand about bishop f2 is, let's say I take.
Yeah.
Now, maybe what you could do here is you could claim that I'm not even gonna take c6. If you take c6, I'm just gonna assume like takes on f2, takes on b2. Black's got to be fine.
Right.
This is immediate. I'm gonna make that assumption. But maybe we say, look, I've got a weak pawn, dominated knight on f6, and I play rook e1. And let's just say queen d6. Right, maybe I make some claim about the pieces being funny. I don't think I have enough, but it's, you know what I'm saying. It's an idea. It's an idea. He's not totally
It's easier to make this claim over the board. Online, your opponent is just gonna assume like you're a pawn down.
Right. Well, you know, honestly, sometimes you got to make the claim after you've blundered it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing, might not be anything better.
There is some positional compensation though, because you're going to get the dark squares there, and later, like let's say actually with queen d6, let's say I go knight d2. You just play bishop d. Well, bishop d7 already. Actually, that's instructive. You're already looking at a little bit of grief because I'm threatening bishop g3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if I get the dark squares, I don't care about being pawn. I.e., if I win the bishop.
Right.
So, yeah, man, a little bit of something.
Yeah, black would need to resist the temptation to ever take this guy.
But unfortunately, the guy played f4, and I don't know. No, that just doesn't seem right to me. F4, and obviously, knight e4 is probably a fine black too, but knight g4, that looks very strong, and then part of the reason it looks so strong to me is black's next move, I think, is f6.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're gonna do. I think it's already it's getting close to crispy critters. Oh man. Now the embarrassing thing for me as this teacher and for Scott is that he hasn't used any time. You know, he's used no time to get this business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, white has, like, every one of white's moves has been very thematic for this position. I think it just doesn't, like, yeah, it just doesn't, it's like one tempo too slow here.
Yep.
So f4, knight g4. Okay, got some updates in the games. Counter Sparks did castle queenside. He found a way.
I told you that was I told you that's what he was gonna do.
Yeah.
Well, why don't I upload that when you talk about? We got to talk about Vishnu. The Vishnu's game is.
Vishnu's game blown up as well. Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't call it blown up, but we have some interesting things. But I'll pull this up with Mitch over here. So let's just look. We were at g4. We left it. Rook df1. That's the move of a madman who thinks that everything is going to happen on the king side. So, right, rook df1 is the move of a guy who's like, I don't even see castles long coming. Right? But
yeah, rook df1 is really, really bizarre.
Right. You need that d-file. You're going to need the d-file. One of black's main ideas is going to play e5 later.
Right.
So, bishop f2, that looks weird. Castles. Knight f4. Now I just think it's a game, and I don't know who's better anymore.
Bishop f2 I like. I mean, maybe this is why we evaluated the position differently, because I was expecting white to just play like bishop f2, knight f4, knight d3. Then I thought, well, black is kind of okay. You're expecting him to just kill the guy like f4, e5.
Well, let's look. So let's say I played rook hf1. Right, and this is kind of what we had before, knight bd7, and then it's
F4.
time to strike.
Yeah, no, this is really interesting. Yeah, this is really fascinating. I'm sure Mitch would find this interesting too, the fact that you can just attack like this.
Well, you're up 1,000 tempi and he's about to castle. And even if he goes to the queen side, he's not going to be safe over there. Right? It's about the initiative.
I know, but it is weird because it's like, well, you say pawns aren't people, and then I see like knight on h3, bishop on h4, like not particularly well placed. My first instinct, other than f4, is not to play f4, is to play knight f2
Right.
and just start like getting these pieces in, and then preparing f4 or e5. But this one just gets to the point really quickly.
Well, right, and I think I said something earlier when he had lost the tempo with bishop a6, and you were like, I don't, you know, the typical way wasn't open to with h4, h5, but I said something effective like, white will just have to use his creativity to find a way, because it will be. Sure enough.
Yeah. No, this is, I think, a really hard find, because it's like, takes e5, and still like still like 1 or 2 moves away from threats, but it's obviously very dangerous. But yeah, my students are always like, you know, if they don't see exactly, like, to them, yeah, it's hard to make sacrifices. They look for combinations. Either they win the pawn back, they play it, or they don't win the pawn back and they don't go for it.
Okay, yeah, it's an interesting point. You know, one funny thing that happened is I did that easy system against the French where you sacrifice a pawn.
Yeah.
It's very, you know, just a fun system that I think most French players would feel uncomfortable facing. And, you know, I do the show every month on chess.com, every final Wednesday. And so we had 2 people, both, I think, if not within the dojo Discord, are definitely like watching the video. So black was prepared, and white got a very spicy position, but in his notes you could feel he was deeply uncomfortable about the pawn sacrifice. Like, he followed my advice and then felt grief about being down the pawn. And the compensation was a little similar to this, where to me I'm just seeing like a better king. I'm seeing this bishop on h4. I'm really happy that the knight finally might have some activity. You know, it's just kind of basic activity stuff. Anyways, he was very upset, and so I did this other video today, and I was like, look, I have a different way for you to play against the French if you don't want to sack the pawn.
Is it the exchange?
Yeah, the exchange. The exchange, the brutal thing to crush the French player's soul. And, you know, it's funny because I was thinking about it, and like, I've had several players play the exchange against me, but what I realized is, like, you know, they were all playing weird kind of exchanges, like exchanging and then playing c4, or exchanging and playing some other weird move, instead of just playing what's got to be the right move, playing it straight, and that will crush the French player's soul. Anyways, so I did that for the guys who are uncomfortable with sacrificing the pawn. Though I said, you know, you've got to become, like, in the same way you've got to learn to be happy about both sides of, say, the isolated move. You got to be happy with sacking the pawn and taking it. It's just part of the deal.
If you feel like you're getting enough, or you don't feel like your opponent is getting enough, I think, yeah, you got to be brave and just do it. You know, yeah, I really think it's one of the biggest things holding back a lot of players is just like not sensing the trend, like, yeah, that all of the initiative moves are now going to be for one side, and in many cases that is like absolutely worth a pawn, 2 pawns. If the king is really wide open, you know, you can sack a full piece for that compensation and just playing it out. Actually, I showed an example for one of my old games today in the Squire group with this like piece sacrifice that it wasn't speculative. I mean, it was clearly like good for white. It just wasn't like immediately winning. And they all evaluated like, yeah, looks like white has good chances, but then they all said like, yeah, I still wouldn't play it unless I saw like much further.
Right.
Like, well, yeah, gotta believe in yourself. And I lost that game too, but the attack was good.
Well, Todd believed in himself here.
Yeah.
Bishop takes 5, bishop b2, f5, and now some major freakazoid stuff is going on.
Knight b5. Wow, nice move.
Now let's dig into it a second. So just before black plays f5 here. Now, I'm going to just say that I don't know yet what black should play, but he's definitely better. He's got he's not even down a pawn. His pawn is more advanced.
Mm-hmm.
His king is better. His development is better.
Mm-hmm.
White really owes us like a key development. So f5, I need a little help. What is the idea of f5? I'm sure there's an idea, but I'm not sure I see. No anymore. I'm sure he's got an idea.
My first thought is he's creating a square for his king on f7. He's just getting his king closer.
No, I think I get it. Okay, he wants to play rook d3. I think.
Rook d3. Okay, so forcing bishop c2.
Well, let's just say, is it forced? Because, like, let's just say bishop. Let's say we give it to him. Rook d3. If knight b5, which would be maybe analogous to what we're about to get, there's this simple problem. If snip takes
c3.
c3 is because bishop c3, king e2, or king f1. That's not totally. I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, let's say c3. Not sure I'm totally sold or anything yet though. Because if I do castle here.
Castles, I was thinking just bishop a2.
Okay, so I guess let's just say I'm not exactly sure, but that seems like that's the idea of f5, right? It's to get some kind of rook d3 if the bishop moves.
Oh, and bishop c2, we have knight c6.
Good. Okay. So maybe this is genius level. Knight b5 seems like a full blunder, though, isn't it? Because we've got bishop b2. What are you gonna do? Take the rook, right? Or maybe you play rook b2. Maybe you play rook.
He did play rook b2, yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
And we have rook e7 on the board. Which is surprising, of course. We would expect rook a1 check.
Well, his whole point, I think, was rook a1, king e2, and the bishop is tagging the rook still.
Nice, yeah.
But I don't think it's too nice because, yeah, something like rook e7, and it's hard to imagine why it's going to live through this one. No, White's not going to live through this one. No way.
No, this was probably missed. It's a strong move.
His name is Strong Chess. Thank you very much.
Well, you can tell he's been perfecting his chess.
Oh, that's pretty good.
It's accurate. It's strong.
And let's just say something obvious. Wherever the bishop moves is bishop d7.
Or bishop d5.
Bishop d5 I could potentially castle short, right? If, say, my bishop's on g2 or c2 or whatever, right? I could castle short.
Wait, it will be check.
You can't. I think that was the Kortnoy mistake from like 1970. Can I castle when I'm in check? You can't castle when I'm in check.
Yeah.
Anyways, totally beautiful. I guess game over, right? Game over unless we're missing something drastic. And this is why you tell the kids, you got a castle. You got a castle. You can't be leaving it hanging out.
So that means, well, yeah, we already felt the endgame was good, but then this was where it kind of all started for White. D5 and feeling like he had to take on E5 now.
Right.
Got him into this mess.
Yeah, and bishop b6 Yeah, this is it's definitely hubristic here.
Well, f5 is a nice move. I mean, it like won the game basically because really posed some
Well, let's wait, but
problems.
let me just play so bishop. I realize this is painful, but bishop bishop c2, knight c6. Yeah, that's problems. That's problems.
Yeah.
I mean, at the very least, a clear advantage. Yeah. No, that's right. And so, let's go back. Let's say the interesting question for White, I think, was I think we both felt funny about c6. Now, maybe it was fine, but I felt funny about c6. E4 was a thought. I'm going to say e4 was a thought. But after bishop e6, let's say I play knight e2. A much more simple move for a simpler time. And now, of course, if you were going to play knight f3, you would have done it here. Now, you have a legitimate fear, I think, here of d5 for black.
Mm-hmm.
That's a legitimate fear, and I don't know exactly how to evaluate it, but it looks scary. So, let's say we countenance this e4, bishop e6, knight e2. The good news for white is that at least now this weakened square is not accessible immediately because of the c6. Well, I think I'd rather be white. I don't know, maybe nothing special. I guess I'd rather be white.
Yeah, the difference here is that on like d5, I would figure the reaction is to take once and then go like bishop g5.
Something like that.
Where black is under pressure, which means that black maybe plays like h6, then white has a chance to castle. And yeah, now d5 not as scary with white just getting out of the center. But still,
I'm starting to think the c6. Maybe that's too hard. Because the dynamic interpretation is that d5 is always going to happen, and you're doing c6 precisely because white's not been developing his dudes. Yeah. That's why you're doing it. Maybe the way too for him to they just agreed to it. It was it's over, by the way. Yeah. Maybe the way to 2 as well would have been knight f3, e5. I don't know. I was gonna say you could go Perelstein on and do this kind of thing, but there's like a variety of reasons why this isn't convincing to me. One is that this rook is out. You know, what does the b4 pawn do?
Yeah, seems like black is ahead.
Black should be fine. So yeah, okay, c6. I'm gonna take it. At least I'm gonna reconsider my snap judgment on c6. I was a little bit. Mostly it was just because it felt already pleasant for black if you did like knight h5. But c6, okay.
Yeah, I think definitely turned out well in this kind of position where white went for really early queenside expansion. I think we have quite a few updates in Vishnu's game.
Let me pull that up.
Yeah, but let me take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Okay. All right, everybody. I'm gonna pull this thing up, and I've been wanting to get to this game for a while. Bam. And this is roughly where we left it. Oh, not there. A5 is roughly where we left it. white have played knight? I was uncertain. But let's just leave that as a question. It feels mildly dangerous, this knight a4 business. Yeah, I don't even know exactly what's gonna happen. But anyways, that was just another question. And just in general, we're thinking that black is better, and so the reason that not to play b5 is just in principle it seems like black is better after c4. Knight a4 happens. Okay, so similar-ish idea. And Vishnu pulled it out actually here. So let's go back and say, we gotta say that a5, if b5 works out like it seems to have done in the game, that a5 is a mistake, because at least my, again, maybe I'm wrong, but my judgment here would be black should be better. Again, maybe too fast of a judgment, but it definitely seems like black should be better. Now he does need a move, so let me just first show what happened in the game. We'll think about how bad it is, and then we'll come back to this question about what to do. One, b5, c5, knight a4, snip, snip, rook b8. Well, at the very least, white is equalized. So, snip, snip. I think that's our game situation here. And we just thought rook takes b5 here. Well, okay. Well, actually, unless white has something special, he's a little bit worse, because we have to say that the knight is funny on a4, and the king is better, gonna be better on d7. Okay, maybe the special is bishop d6. Let's ask that question. And if, say, knight g5, intending like knight e4, then knight c5 probably. And again, it's not totally simple for black. So bishop d6 certainly looks like the move that's, you know, gonna give white some questions, black some questions. I don't know what else he would do here. So I'm gonna say we're gonna come back to this. It already looks like it's gone well. Well, good enough for Vishnu. Kostas sounds like he's coming back in. We'll get his interpretation of events here. All right, Kostu, we got some questions for you, buddy.
Heat.
So g4 was played roughly when we left, and here's black's like big moment, and he plays a5, very committal move. Now, I haven't yet decided what he's going to do yet, but I have decided that I think he's better, that black is better in this position. Maybe I'm wrong about it, but that was just my sense. So after a5, though, this continuation goes down, where we've got b5, c5, knight a4. This all seems kind of forced now. Snip, snip, rook b8, snip, snip, bishop c5, rook b5, and I don't think, and Vishnu has played the expected bishop d6. And so I'm going to say that at least it seems to me that a5 was a mistake, because it felt to me like black was better. Again, I'm not entirely certain what the guy should do. But this position does not feel at all like black is better.
Hmm.
No way. Because we've got rooks coming down to f7 and things like knight c3 in the air.
Yeah, it's definitely not clear. My first thought is like king e8 to try to get out.
But, well, I want to say on king e8, at the worst, I've got knight c3 followed by bishop e7.
Well, I was thinking rook b3 and then taking the knight.
Okay, so we got king e8 definitely has a candidate move.
Yeah. There's also knight g5 maybe. Then allows knight
Knight c5. I totally think maybe that was his first first intention was knight g5, but then knight c5. It's like, oh man, that's a powerful knight.
Yeah. But I'm not totally sure, like, it's dead because knight g5, knight c5, we go king e8. And we want to play, like, rook b2.
Well, dead is certainly a strong word, but, like, I mean, even a move like e6, right? I don't know. I don't know. Looks pretty scary.
Yeah, no, definitely scary. Don't love how black got here. Is knight c8 playable for black? Depends on where patient chess, because the last few moves we're getting mated on f8.
Yeah, we made it.
Oh, we got strong chess in the chat. Welcome.
All right, so yeah, good game, buddy. Good game. Yeah.
Oh, he says
impressed.
caught my opponent in preparation. Oh, interesting. Was c6 a prepared idea with d5?
When I saw patient said move 27, I thought that was like strong chess saying I had it up to move 27.
Here after bishop d6, knight c8.
Knight fd7. Look at that. He had knight fd7. Well,
Oh wow. Okay, we should definitely take a look at that.
so I
Nice.
guess strong chess. You had seen that he had played that like kind of chess where you don't castle. That's what it would mean, because otherwise you wouldn't look at that position, right?
Yeah, actually, I should have known, because if we look at the timestamp of Todd's moves, they're like all under 30 seconds until we get to knight fd7. So yeah, d5 is not something Todd would play with over an hour and a half on his clock unless he knew it. Oh, nice. Wow. So this is was specific preparation for the opponent. Well, nice game. We liked f5, I think, after realizing the ideas.
Yeah.
And yeah, you handled it really well.
Yeah, and I should say, strong chess, that I was initially skeptical of c6, and then later I was like, yeah, it's a pretty good move, and now it seems especially good. It was all prep.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's lead chess games, right? Yeah, this rook b1, a3, b4. He's gonna have to rethink his chess with that kind of thing. All right, we got a question here, Kostya. If strong chess can help us out. In this game, with this move, knight c8, it's like Pork is trying to squirm his way out, but let's just say there's interest. Okay, so the interesting thing about knight c8 is he's saying that rook f7 is doing absolutely nothing, and that in fact, black has every single square covered. Amazingly, the knight is covering a7.
Wow.
It's actually a kind of a study-like covering of all the squares, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Every
study-like
piece
focus.
covering one square.
Okay, interesting. So I still don't believe in it, but that's okay. Look at that. This would be really study-like if this was working. No, okay, I'm gonna say the obvious though. Let's say we play knight. Okay, so the thing about knight c3 is that at the worst case, black is gonna get an active rook and he's gonna win the bishop on. Play knight takes d6.
Yeah. In fact, we can even start with knight takes d6.
You could start with knight takes d6.
Like if this one.
Yeah.
Then maybe something like this.
Oh, and you even have that. Very
Right.
strong. Yeah, very strong. It's actually too much.
So it is still dangerous for white. Like, you know, if things simplify, then black just has his king in the center past d pawn and like probably just a great position. So knight c8 is a really interesting try.
Well, absolutely. No, I thought, just on first glance that when we went from here, I felt black was better. And I feel like you don't play a5 unless you're going to be better. And maybe, maybe he's better all the way through here. A little hard to believe. That was the natural move, bishop d6, by all means.
Yeah.
And then we got c8. That might have come as a cold shower. Probably did come as a cold shower.
Well, king e8 played in the game. But...
Oh, I thought... why did I play knight c8? That's so weird.
No, knight c8 was just suggested by Patient Chess, but it's...
I think
it looks like a nice move.
Yeah, that was an amazing. Knight c8 really, put the... It was very anti-intuitive to me that was going to work out.
And also, on rook f7 check, black can, I think, play king c6. Just to...
But on king e8, I'm not doing anything, right?
Well... Yeah, I mean, king e8, I think white, just has to, just go back. But... I like that we also have this option just because it keeps the threat on the bishop. Because maybe at this point white should be repeating moves, so that might not be such a bad thing for them. But I guess black can also just take on d6 right away as soon as white goes back somewhere, and then get the king in anyway.
Yeah.
So no, that looks like I mean, yeah, white has to still prove quite a bit there. King e8 is very logical, but yeah, it does. We were thinking knight c3. Yeah, it's just still kind of concrete as to what's happening here. Is this where we were thinking rook b3?
We did mention this with bishop e7, rook c3 kind of. I didn't know what to say about it.
Yeah. I feel like black had another option, or white had another option here.
Right. Rook c1 is interesting. Yeah, we got ourselves some business going on. Unfortunately, the Scott and Noah game has gone exactly like we expected.
Yeah, Scott's kind of dead. But Counter Sparks is very much alive.
Yeah, this is the perk dream here, to get some position like this.
He's climbed back.
You know, one thing about it that I don't want to be too cruel on Mitch, but just something I think for a lot of, especially on the dojo players, to think about is that common critique is that they're spending too much time on the openings. And one way to put it, I think one way to understand it, is this thing that that MVL said. There's a number of ways you could talk about people studying opening, but he said, MVL put it, I thought, nicely, and he said, look, like, these people doing all the openings, and he's talking mostly about people who are already like 2400.
Right.
That they are putting a lot of time into these openings, and yes, they will sometimes score a win, absolutely, from their preparation. That's unavoidable. But the real drawback is that they don't have the skills and understanding yet to execute positions where you're going to get some kind of advantage, and you just aren't going to know how to deal with that advantage.
Yeah.
And this game, with Mitch's game here, I feel is an example of that, where he needs to strike, and now I don't know what's going on.
No, I totally feel that way. Yeah, I mean, what's the point of studying theory if your opponent can just give you like a free space advantage if you're not really able to do anything with it? Yeah, it's like if you're not able to score, then you're not doing very much with anything before that.
No.
Which I feel like you're right. MVL is right. I feel like, yeah, if I get a good position, there's no guarantee I'm winning the game.
Well, there's never a guarantee, but yeah, there's just it's like maybe a strong chess metaphor. A strong chess metaphor would be a guy who's a weightlifter and does arms all day and doesn't do legs.
Right.
Didn't do leg day. Now let's just say, let's go into this Counterspark's last move here. So we got Queen E2. We both felt pretty good about Black's position, but knight E8 I don't feel good about.
Yeah, I knew you would hate this move. It's just there's no chance.
No chance that I was going to be into that move. Very true. Yeah, I'm not into that move. First of all, is White even threatening anything? I don't know. Maybe he's threatening F4. Maybe.
F4 and E5?
I don't even think he's threatening that. Yeah, I don't even think he's threatening that. Because the D4 bishop is going to hang if you go F4 and knight G5.
Yeah, I mean he is running low on time compared to his opponent, so I guess he didn't feel like he had a lot of time to waste because he spent a lot on his last couple moves. But yeah, knight E8 just seems unnecessarily passive. It's the only move you play if F4 is really just such a serious threat that you have nothing else to do. But yeah, you would want to look for like a active defense first before resorting to.
Or even if you're that terrified, you could play G5.
Yeah.
If you were totally terrified. And the E5 knight will always save you. The knight on C3 is a poison pill for White. Whereas knight E8, I think just, if nothing else for White, now White can just play F. And then you're working against the bad piece on E8, and you've got the slightly better king, and yada yada. Right?
Yeah, now it looks like this definitely feels like an edge. Even, would you play F5 here as White?
I don't know. I'd just be so happy. Just be so happy.
You just want to enjoy the position.
Yeah, I'd just be so happy. He did play H4 instead of F4, which might be fine. I mean, there's after you've done 98 to yourself, what's next? I don't know.
Yeah.
Black has his chance, I guess, to play G5 if he wants to keep the outpost.
How about H5?
Okay. Because you wanna sink the knight on G4 later or something like that.
Yeah.
No. I still don't know what you're doing with this knight on E8.
Well, I guess the bishops are just getting traded. I think that's the only idea.
I mean, given that you're going to be worse here, you might as well bite the bullet and be like knight D3.
Yeah.
Some kind of exchange, and then the one thing you have going for you is the knight on C3 still needs to get improved.
Right.
Mitch also has a tendency, we've seen this before, like Black just played this highly committal knight E8. You've got 50 minutes plus 30 seconds. You got all the time in the world. Knight E8 looks wrong. Just take a moment. take a moment, savor '98. Savor the fact that your opponent's just done this to himself, and think about what to do.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's a good chance that there's probably like I don't know, want to say like a clear best move, but there's probably one or two moves that are better than everything else here, and so yeah, at least spend some time to, because you don't know if f4 is winning or not unless you kind of really look into it, because maybe you don't get another chance, maybe h4 h5 is a problem, or
h4 g5, the guy could still do it.
yeah, actually reminds me when I played against GM Valentina Gunina in Gibraltar, and like I was white. I played e4 actually. She played Caro-Kann, and I would say she had like a very decent position out of the opening. Like she had like clear attacking chances or a clear attacking plan. I kind of had much less, and she was ahead on the clock by like a good half hour, 40 minutes, and then she was actually playing very very quickly in the middle game and just making kind of like the blitz move, which were good, but like I mean, she was kind of risking missing out on something like, you know, sharper, potentially like a one-time opportunity. But that was interesting. I mean, it's very much a style. It was clear she was just trying to put pressure like on the clock and on the position, and just trying to get me to collapse. But I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit impractical. If you have the time advantage and the positional advantage, then use the time to make sure you're making like the best possible moves. I don't know. I think it's pretty simple. But I get the practical side of things. I get the instinct to play h4. Just like, okay, can't be bad. And
Yeah.
just let the opponent keep thinking. And now Black has been thinking for a couple minutes now. He just doesn't know what to do.
Well, after '98, that's the bummer. It's like, oh, your position. Maybe you want to go back to the f6. Might actually be your best move is to play knight f6.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably the other moves, I'm sure.
Well, maybe we could just go back. I mean, was f4 really such a huge threat here? If we just play like this move, and then if we try f4. Yeah, I mean...
Right. Yeah, you should be able to take on g4. No, h3.
h3 is annoying, yeah, so let's just play like either knight d7 or knight c4. Let's say knight d7. Yes, e5, but... doesn't...
Wait a second, though. Like, let's go back to this. So queen e2. If you're gonna get pushed back, right? If you actually are gonna get pushed back, then isn't g5 your first consideration?
Not for me, because I would be afraid of giving up the f5 square.
Like knight d1, e3, f5 or something.
Yeah, you could go that far and even find how white gets there, but I think just in general, like, giving up that square is often... I mean, I would see it as a serious concession. I would rather play rook e8 if I can just do that.
Because I was thinking on rook e8 that white here could claim a small advantage with like queen. Let's just play a normal with like queen g2. That's a small advantage for him, isn't it?
Yeah, now Black's queen on c7 just looks like
Yeah.
really, really sluggish. Strong Chess was saying g5 was also possible. Oh, here, I guess.
That's a thought, yeah.
And
No, I don't think
yeah.
I don't think we want to allow I don't think we want to allow f.
Okay, so then yeah, I'm starting to understand Black's issues here, because I think g5 is probably not a move he considered too seriously.
Well, why not? Then there's all those Sicilian positions where they do this all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
And I'm gonna play knight fd7, and I'm gonna, parties. I'm gonna do the dark square dance. I'm gonna do the dark square dance.
I just think it's better than it looks at first glance to untrained eyes.
Okay.
Yeah.
But also, it's just like you gotta f4 was a real thing. That was one of the reasons why h4 on 19 was kind of like, what? You got your dream. f4 was the dream.
Right.
And 98 was so strange anyway. But
Well, yeah, we had some huge changes. So, h4, c5 was played. So now I feel like black is in forcing mode. Like he is running low on time, so he needs to do something and clarify the situation. So take.
he's in resigns mode, is what he is. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing? He took on e5. Okay, there. I mean, that's pretty. I want to ask questions about whether you needed to take on e5 for a second. So c5 again. Fabian's mid just playing so fast.
Right.
So first of all, why am I taking the knight right away? Let's play knight d5 first.
Yeah, this tempo is just too good to pass up. Queen b7.
Let's say queen b7. And why am I taking? I don't get it. If I take, I at least give this knight a square. Let's just play. Let's just kick it. Let's say bishop c3. What does he want from me?
Well, I mean, you're using your GM powers to come up with moves. It's not.
These
Guys, they don't have access.
I don't have any special access or powers. I'm just making moves.
Like the average player, when they get hit with c5, their bishop gets challenged, and they get the light squares. They're just going for like this. Now knight takes e5. I guess he's just trying to simplify. That's clear.
Now I do want to say he's definitely still better. So if he wants clarity, he's getting. But why, dude? He used like negative seconds on that move.
Yeah, no, it's super fast.
Super fast. And this is the time where you got to start looking to knock the dude out, because black is like, he's pushed his luck now.
Yeah, no, he's playing like the clocks are flipped, which is not right. And I mean, like, this is a training game, so in a tournament game, okay, maybe you try to be a little bit more competitive and like flag your opponent, but in a training game, I would think like, if you win because your opponent loses on time, that's not as valuable to you as you winning because you thought a lot and you played a good game and you converted the position. He's still going super fast. I mean, he's not making bad moves, but I think it's a little bit too. He's like in blitz mode. So,
well, even now, like we ask ourselves after knight d5 how great this is. Let's just say I play some sad move like queen d6, and next move I'm playing knight c7. How bad is it for me? I mean, I'm worse, but I don't think I'm getting knocked out.
I think it's worse. And we got a huge raid, by the way, from Vampire Chicken. Thank you so much.
All right. Cool.
Welcome in, guys. We are going over these classical games that are being played well in the middle. And we just had some drama in this game where too many moves were being played too quickly for this time control. But yeah, welcome in, guys. Thanks for joining. And thanks for following. Well, I mean, to me, it looks like white is clearly better. Like rook d1.
Rook d1, knight c7.
And let's say queen c4. Oh, posture check. Shoot.
Posture check. Posture
Thanks,
check.
David.
Yeah, something like knight d5. You want to play rook d5 or something?
Rook d5, yeah.
And then queen f6. I'm just saying it's not over yet.
Well, rook d1. I mean, not over, of course, but big strategic advantage has to be. Like, Well, it has to be. Okay, strong, but it looks so good. King is weak. We got the open file.
Mm-hmm. So, rook takes. Oh, then you can do. Wait, sorry. Rook takes is bad. Okay, now something like this kind of sort of happened. So let's go to the game.
Yeah.
And he played queen b7, and white very quickly played h5.
Instantly h5. Yeah.
Instantly h5. See, Counter Sparks is thinking about it. Now, I was thinking, one of the reason I put it on d6, which was maybe a mistake, but that was just the first instinct, was I was concerned at some level that you were going to attack. But now that you haven't attacked my e, I feel like you're doing a pawns are people thing, h5. And my first question, can I sack my pawn on g6, play knight c7? So you can win the... Actually, maybe it's not even totally simple to win. Because I was... But probably. You can probably win the pawn with like knight e7, king b8, hg.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% on that because I've got knight e6 as an intermezzo. But anyways, knight c7. It's not totally clear to me, even if you did win the pawn, that you've got something special here. Because because you did rook df1 earlier, there's the business of the d-front. Oh, I need to hydrate. I'm out of water, buddy. I'm out of water with my hydrate.
Yeah, you go ahead. We got g5 on the board, and now I feel like, yeah, I don't blame black for making this move. It kind of feels difficult to just leave h takes g6 just hanging over your head the whole time. But of course it gives up the f5 square. Now white can at any point just drop back, put this pawn on c3, bring this knight to f5, and just keep probing. Yeah, really unpleasant to play when like white has kind of all of the weaknesses that they can attack. Black just has to kind of stay solid, always be ready to trade knights, and meanwhile white can just kind of poke around with the pieces and just kind of slowly massage the position, you know, just kind of bringing everything in. Yeah, these positions are always a pleasure to play, especially when you have more time, which is why we keep suggesting to Mitch to spend his time and actually think about what moves he wants to make. But okay, I feel like we might miss something in the other games if we look away too long.
Oh my god, let's go to Vishnu's game. Here, I'll pull it up. Maybe there could be some, like, Chessable should devise a course where you have to think in the endgame. If you don't think, you lose points. You lose your points on the endgame ladder if you don't think in the endgame. Okay, this is what we had. King e8, knight c3 was played. I think I mentioned something like rook c1 there being. In any case, rook b3, now rook c1. Knight f4, threatening the dirty with rook takes c3. And, right, not clear if knight f4 is that special. Because you are like, well anyways, king f1. And we got ourselves a situation. Vishnu is definitely much lower on. But Quirk, I think, maybe could have a similar problem with Mitch because that knight c8 he missed, I guess. And I don't know. This position's starting to get a little loopy, in the sense that if the longer black leaves that bishop on d6, the more scared I become. Right.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, it's clear that black is initiative. There's so many options. Like, I'm drawn to just putting the rook on the second rank and trying to bring the knight in, or using the d pawn. But I guess the main thing I would be afraid of from black's point of view is any kind of potential counterplay of like allowing this knight in, allowing the rook in. This is how you can just lose the position as well if you just let white's pieces get super active. Of course, the e-pawn can one day just be an asset as well. So it's definitely not easy for black, but hopefully he's spending his time here and actually...
He's not spending his time, because he's not spending his time. He played this knight f4 tricky move, like, right away.
No. This one, he spent like 5 minutes on this one.
He's got 40 minutes. This is time to, like, this is like when you look to, like, find a plan. And knight f4. If king f1 is just sitting on you, that's an improvement to the white pieces. Now it's a tricky move. I'll give him that, but.
I think these guys, they see that it comes with a threat. They see that it defends against like white's threat of taking on e7 and taking on d5, and I think for them it's enough. It's like, okay, this is not a bad move. I'm not getting hit with king f2. I think it's practical.
Now maybe it is. Maybe there is something interesting here for. So, say d4, and one bummer, I think. Knight e2, rook f3 is a little painful.
Yeah.
Because king here and knight d3, and then of course king g1, knight e2. So that's the problem.
Yeah.
About knight e2. But of course, there's knight e4. This is the question: is like, is the knight going anywhere? In fact, this is also immediately. Bam! Holy moly! That's over.
Yeah.
That's over. Knight f2, we've got rook f2, king e1, rook e3, and wait, man, can I get fancy? Maybe I can get fancy. King g1, knight e2, king g2. I'm not dead yet.
Oh, rook e3. Oh, rook c7.
Rook c. It's not over yet though. Rook c7 and then knight d5. Pretty intense.
Yeah, not easy. Drod was asking if king d7 is possible. I think, yeah, I mean, usually, like, just bringing in the king, as long as it's safe, is going to be improving the position. I mean, it's kind of a question of we're expecting white to take on e7 or not. If we're not really worried about bishop takes e7, then it's fine. If we are, then it would make sense to, like, yeah, just let white take and then not waste this tempo. But I don't know. I feel like if white goes for this one, then it just seems like black's pieces are so much more active that black should be doing very well here.
Fair enough. Is d4 winning on the spot, though?
But is d4 just winning? Well, it's kind of a more ambitious question.
I mean, maybe something gross like knight b1, but I didn't want to do it. And the other advantage of d4 is you're introducing this idea, knight d5, b3.
Well, this is the thing to look for.
I'm getting jealous of all your water, Kostya. I have to take a little break.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
But we're at this critical moment. Okay, so I think we've said knight e4 looks terrible because of rook f3. Knight e2 looks dead lost because of rook f3. Knight d1 is just ugly. Maybe you gotta do something gross like knight d1. But actually, let's put it this way: if you're gonna play knight f4, and this is great. This is great advice, actually. If you're gonna play, if you've got 40 some minutes on the clock and the guy's got less, you hit him with knight f4. You think about before you play knight f4. You see the king f1's basically the only. Then you figure out that move, right? And then if you slam him with the 1-2 punch, because you've got it figured out. Oh, buddy, I'll tell you, when you get slammed with the 1-2 punch, that's a bigger deal. Whereas here, Vishnu's thinking about d4 right now. Right. He gets to think about it. Now, in the other position, it would just be, you wouldn't really have it on your radar because there's so many things.
Yeah. That is a great point. Actually, maybe that could be a video, how to actually play in your opponent's time trouble.
Right.
Because so many players think it's just making the blitz move, but then, yeah, it's like, usually that's not going to trick anyone. But having something deeper in mind, right, spending 20 minutes when your opponent doesn't know exactly which way you're going to go. Also, it's very unpleasant to sit on this position with white for 20 minutes while your opponent doesn't move. Like, you can't go to the bathroom because if he moves, then you're gonna flag. Like, you're kind of stuck. So yeah, knight e4 we think is wrong or is losing because of rook f3 check.
Right.
King g1, we go knight e2 check. King g2, rook e3, and white doesn't seem to have a great move here. Okay, for rook e1 and king f3. There's check. And just knight moves, right? It should be just piece up.
So I think what Drod is asking is, after knight f2, and I don't think knight f2 works. So rook f3, knight f2, and he's saying rook c2 next, but the bummer is rook takes f2 now. And that's an official bummer.
Yeah.
Because knight d3.
Yeah.
I think that's I think that's what he was intending. I'm not sure.
That's a tough one. By the way, guys, if you're watching this and you don't know what these games are, these are part of a round robin that we're doing on our Discord server, which is basically what ChessDojo is. It's mainly a Discord server. This is Twitch is like the extension, the streaming arm. And we set up these little round robins with a bunch of our students. Both of these guys are in the Warrior group, so they're I'm pretty sure Quirked is considerably higher rated, but they're in like the expert range, like 1900, 2000, 2100. I think Quirked is kind of on the higher side of that. And then we also have some groups that are a little bit lower rated, but getting into like serious levels with like 16, 1700 rated players. Actually, we have some action in the Scott game versus Noah. That game has blown up.
Let me just pull this quickly with just because I grabbed it already.
Let me
show this Mitch thing that happened. And like I said, you were saying like, okay, let's go to g5. So rook d1, knight g7, okay. Knight e6, knight f4, queen b5. Okay. So, does Mitch have 1,000 more minutes? Yes. He's got 1,000 more minutes. And the very simple question is, can't I trade and hope to survive? So, like, knight d5.
Well, yeah, I mean, asked and answered. ED.
Okay, but this is just clear advantage. This isn't over. I don't even know if it's clear advantage, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think it's that much. Yeah. I think he kind of blew it. Now maybe rook takes d5. Maybe he thought black is just playing rook d8 and he doesn't get anything here either. But I don't think he spent enough time to really make this conclusion.
That's so funny when you said asked and answered. I thought you were saying it for yourself. To know you were like, no, he just played it. And right, he did it instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly. That was a huge decision with ED. And now after rook d6, I don't know.
No, it's very superficial, I think, from White's point of view. Yeah, rook d6, of course.
And you've got dreams of rook f6, but also more importantly, like, how was White's plan to like bust you open? I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we got to give Mitch some homework, like some middle game positions, and then he has to think on them for 30 minutes. And come up with a plan.
minimum thinking about it for 30 minutes. You know, if Chessable just designs a course where he has to think for a long time and he gets points if he thinks for a long time, the dude's gonna kill it, man. He's gonna become a monster.
Right. So yeah, they just need to, I'm sure they can program it very easily. Instead of a timer that counts down, they need one that counts up and doesn't let you submit moves until it's done.
Yeah. By the way, this particular setup, I remember when I was a kid, and there was some debate I was having with somebody. And I don't know, I was 1800 or whatever, and I also was like, oh, connected past pawn, cool. Now I've got it. But no, connected schmected. Because first of all, pawns aren't people. Your rooks are people,
Yeah.
and now your rooks are dead. They're not going anywhere. They're going nowhere. So,
Yeah.
and where's your break? I don't know where you're breaking.
I think, yeah, you need a minor piece to win this position. I think you need a knight or even a bishop. Bishop would be great.
Anything.
Light square bishop, play on the light squares. Dark square bishop, play on the dark squares. Knight, play on the e4, f5 squares. But heavy pieces, yeah, it's like white is still better. I mean, we always take white here, but the trend is not in his favor because he had just such a huge advantage, and now it's simplifying, and it's not going to be. He might have thought it's just going to be easy. He just wins, but it's definitely not going to be easy now.
Right. Yeah, and Rook d6 is not even a move you have to think about, so there it comes. Okay, but you asked about Scott's game. Let's pull it up, and my guess is that it's lost for our good friends.
Yeah, it sharpened up after knight g4.
I think your student played it right. I mean, he took on e5, and here I was maybe I'm missing something. ED, because ED looked stronger than bishop takes, but bishop takes I'm sure is fine. And isn't he just like much better or winning here? Looks like both.
Yeah, it looks good.
He's
Looks
both
good.
much better and winning. Yeah, he might even have a dream of bishop takes d4, rook takes f4, and that is
Right.
unnecessary. It's unnecessary, but it might work.
He's definitely calculating that. Hey, Chess
Yeah.
with Hess. Hey, Night Store. Good to see you guys. But it looks. I don't see a problem with rook takes f4, at least not yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are doing good. We are just covering some live games, breaking down the psychology of club players and their hopes and their fears, and trying to diagnose them all in one show.
That's right, and the dreams of different openings as well. What
Yeah.
it says. What it says.
We like to analyze players based on their level, based on their opening choice, all kinds of stuff.
I went over the top on this new video, buddy. It's either gonna make you laugh or it's gonna make you cry, or a little bit of both. I went over the top on the aesthetic of this new video. We'll see. Coming out tomorrow morning.
Yeah, fans of the French are gonna come after you.
Yeah, I took weirdness to a whole new level, I think, in this next video. Anyways, I hope you like it. So, yeah, we're still waiting.
So
I'm gonna take.
Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back.
Cool. So I'll catch you guys up. All right. So we have this game. Looks like Black is just doing well. Let's grab the pawn. Bishop is gonna be really strong. Jumping to this end game, we were looking at. Quirk is still thinking on this position, where we were discussing d4. So he's doing the right thing. He spent like half an hour on his last couple of moves trying to convert this with Black, which I think is how you should play it. If you have a good position, you have a lot of time, more time than your opponent, invest some time to just try to find like the best moves. If it turns out you don't really like have like such a great position, then you can still use that time to figure out what would be the way to like set the most problems for the opponent. Too many players, I think they just try to blitz things out when their opponent is low on time, but then you're probably just going to miss out on opportunities, and you're just going to play like the first move that comes to mind. Your opponent will have an obvious defense, and you might miss out on your winning chances. Hey, Chess with Hess. Yes, actually, you cannot register without a US Chess rating or USCF rating from that site, US Chess Hub. But if you want to register for the camp, you can just send me a message on Discord. Hopefully you're on ChessDojo's Discord. If not, you should join that as well, and we can just register you off of the page. The training camp that we're doing next Sunday is 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern time. So for Europe, I guess that's like around 6 hours ahead or so, depending on where you are in Europe. So evening, but yeah, the idea was to not, so that it's still like a somewhat doable time. And not just totally out in outer space for Europeans. And we do have d4 on the board, so yeah, I spent a lot of time calculating this one, 17 minutes, but I think it's gonna pay off for him. Because this move looks really, really dangerous, just bringing in the pawn, opening up the rook. This is just such a problem threat for white, because now wherever the king is going, it's running into a knight fork, knight d3, knight e2. So this is a big one.
D4 was played.
Yeah, after a long thing. So I was saying Quirked is he's playing exactly correct as far as like spending his time and just looking for the most dangerous move for his opponent. Definitely could have done it on knight f4, but I think, okay, knight f4, king f1, now d4 is still good.
Difficult choice now for Vishnu. You know, I guess you're gonna have to do one of the gross moves of. You got your choice of grossness, right? D1, B1, and A4. They all look pretty terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, let's do this. I want to do it just before we forget about it. Tell us about the camp next weekend.
I was just talking about it while we were gone. But I was saying, so the camp is open to Europeans because it's, I guess, around 6 or 7 p.m. for them when it starts. And if you don't have a USCF rating, then you can still register with us. You just have to send me a message on Discord, and we can sort it out. Because you need a USCF rating or profile to register through the US Chess Hub site. The Morello says, wasn't familiar with us. Welcome. Just found us through the Vampire Chicken Raid. Yep. And our dojo Discord concept seems like a great way getting some external motivation and feedback. Yeah, the dojo is a blast. I mean, there's so many players on there. Now there's tons of players, like I don't even have to like necessarily mod it or start up conversation. People are just like posting games, posting puzzles. Sometimes, you know, like I see some of the conversations and, you know, the advice that's given out is not always advice that I would agree with, but that's for the dojo to figure out. It's not my place to like step in and litigate things, but yeah, I really like the community that's been cultivated there so far.
Yeah, it's been really nice. And Kostya's going to do a video soon, which is going to break it down. Break it down what the vision is with Discord, Twitch, YouTube. And hopefully we're going to have David Bruce join us soon.
That's right.
Then we're going to be full force and things kind of take off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool.
Actually, the video is done. I just need to add some clips to it.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah.
It's recorded. Very simple, very simple. Just explaining what the dojo is all about. Right. So we don't have to keep...
That's what we need. And like on Twitch now, right? Twitch wants you to have some kind of introductory video or something.
Yeah, we really should just put up something simple.
Yeah. Basic, yeah. Oh, man. Well, Vishnu's tanking on this d4 decision.
Yeah, even if he saw it coming, I mean, it's not an easy move to handle.
Well, let's see. I'll tell you what, let's just put it on the... Well, let me grab it and put it on the board, because I have a feeling this is going to be decisive. It's even the guy needs to find a move right now. My instinct, without calculating anything, was knight b1. The guy has just played knight d1.
Thanks, Strahd. I'll catch you later.
Good night, yeah. d4, knight d1. Okay, let's do the obvious move first. So rook f3, and we know already there's no knight f2. We know also that there's no king g1 because actually that's not totally true. There could be king g1, knight e2, king g2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to say, let's just say the obvious too, that the knight is really sad on d1. It's really, really bad. So, for example, on king g1, a move that looks positionally devastating would be just knight ed5.
Yeah, exactly.
It looks like end of the road, because the bishop on d6 is out, and there's no counterplay that I can see. Right, that looks terrible. And honestly, even if on rook f3, king e1, now it's probably true that knight d3 does not win because of king e2. But again, this move knight ed5 looks like just way too much stuff, and the knight is dominated on one. Now, I think knight b1, it's probably a similar story on it.
Right.
So it does look already like Quirk's pieces are all coming together. And I think what's nice about this, even though, yeah, Quirk's played a great game, is that I could, I did some training with Quirk, and it did seem like the guy was on a higher level, but he was losing games through the trickinesses of like the Mitches of the world and their openings. But this, and he always found some amazing. He lost against Joel in that amazing game. Remember when he sacked his queen?
Right. That was
really the Philidor game. Yeah, it's always like some very creative stuff going on. Now, there was not rook f3 play, just knight ed5, but honestly, that seems fine to me as well here.
Yeah. Now, a lot of people don't know this, but the combo of like rook, 2 knights, and a passed pawn, very strong. Very hard to deal with all this working together. Now, rook, 2 bishops, passed pawn, also good. Rook, bishop, and knight, passed pawn, if they're coordinated, also like super strong. So it really is just the coordination that's just killing white here. Yeah, so many moves, like knight e3 might be just winning soon and just getting this pawn to like e3 and e2. Well, Jesse, I gotta get going soon.
Okay. No, we usually stop around 9. This is my what do you got going on? You're probably doing something fun. Are you doing something fun?
Yeah, let me plug some stuff. So tomorrow I'll be doing a stream at 5 p.m. called Norm Hunter, where I work with National Master Todd Bryant on his chess and getting him ready back for Norm season, which is going to start up maybe in a couple months when tournaments come back. Then maybe Tuesday we might do Title Tuesday again. That was fun last week.
Right.
And Jesse, you're doing Road to 2500 on Wednesday.
On Wednesday, right? And one thing we got to do, actually, I keep saying this, we don't do it. We need to publish our schedule, like somewhere, our Twitch schedule.
Yeah. At this point, it's been pretty consistent. Yeah, we'll just update it in the Discord. We'll put it there.
Yeah, something like that. I guess it is. It's true. We mostly have our times. It's just that if someone was coming along and didn't know about it, they just wouldn't know what our schedule was. But anyways, yeah.
Right. Yeah, we can put it on Twitch as well.
Or a Twitter or tweet. Tweet it once a week.
Yeah.
I think that would be a good way to let people.
Well, all right, guys. We'll be finishing up there. Thanks for checking out our stream. I'm gonna go ahead and raid our friend Josh Friedel because he's around.
Yeah.
But if you guys haven't joined us on Discord yet, make sure to join the dojo there. It's a lot of fun. We got roles and stuff. We also have a YouTube channel where we try to put up educational videos. If you want to improve your chess, that would be a great place to check out more of our like polished like lessons and material.
And check out my weird anti-French video coming out tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Josh Friedel is a grandmaster. He just started up streaming. Oh, I did exclam raid. So if you guys want the more educational stuff, make sure to give him a follow as well. I'm sure he's analyzing some 1953 Zurich chess. Okay, today's Clutch Chess Championship. That's fine.
3. All right, guys, great. Thank you for doing it.
Yeah, have
I,
a good
I
night,
always
y'all.
enjoy it, and like you said it right. Like this is not only us doing Friday Night Fights; it's our weekly podcast.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Catching up on all the happenings of the dojo.
That's right. Okay, talk to you soon.